Well, good day, everybody. For those who have been keeping up with our modeling and remodeling and rebuilding of our camper, this is going to be more or less trying to be a final view of the kitchen area. The kitchen area, when you step inside the camper and look to your right, that will be the kitchen area, and it will always be the kitchen area whenever we set it up. To give you a quick tour and an explanation of everything, here we go. The kitchen area is 2 cabinets, and it moves right. And when it moves right there is where the refrigerator will go. As far as the refrigerator itself goes, the refrigerator is a cooler that looks like this. Tell you what, let's clean this cooler up a little bit. There, lots better. Now, the reason why I'm showing you it like this is because our cooling system, or our refrigerator, is a 2-part, actually a 3-part. First thing to realize is that heat rises and cold falls. And if you have a cooler that is full of cold water, it is just flat a mess to reach in and try to grab something and bring it out, try to continually dumping it and all this other stuff. Well, what we have found is if you take 2 cereal boxes like this and fill each one full of ice, whether you fill it from home or whether you fill it from Circle K or whatever, fill them full of ice. Open up your refrigerator. It should be full of food. And take these boxes and lay them in it side by side of each other. And wait about 5 minutes before you close the lid. The reason being is because the ice will be chilling out the compartment called your refrigerator. Do not put in any cold liquids, as in drinks or anything like that, because you're going to be reaching in there far too often. Only put in your perishables as far as cold stuff, lunch meat and things like that. They will never get wet. These boxes are not guaranteed leak proof, so what you do is you pop the cap off on the bottom of the cooler, and any water that drips in will drip down and drip out and still stay out of the way. We had these things set in ours, and we put them in one day around 10 a.m. and came home that evening and just basically left it shut, opened it up the next day, and one of these boxes was still full of ice, and the other was about 3/4 full. So it does work. The reason why I said don't put your drinks in it is because you should have another cooler like this one right here. This cooler down here, you put in bottles of ice, bottles of water, bottles of soda, bottles of tea, whatever, but try to designate at least 3 bottles of nothing but ice. Again, open the lid, stick everything in, let it sit there for a couple minutes so that the chill can get across it, and then close the lid. This little refrigerator here goes under the kitchen stove, or under the kitchen itself. But this refrigerator goes at that spot I showed you. Once you get it to a point that you can do it, load that puppy up. Speaking of kitchen, on this video, as we continue, this is the area where that refrigerator goes. Once you come across the video, you'll come across the kitchen stove, or the kitchen itself. That down there is our seasoning box sitting on top of the stove. That seasoning box will eliminate your having to put seasoning in the setup. These are the ribs that we put across the top of the camper to keep water from pushing down on it due to the fact that it doesn't leak. It just got bulgy. These are the two hooks that we hang the big screen TV on. This is that kitchen opened up. This is the rack where you saw those two racks. And what we're going to do for now is we're going to pause this video and go back to our memory of pictures. And we started out with what's referred to as the Coleman kitchen. This Coleman kitchen has several things in it, much of which we either moved or didn't use at all. So let's take a quick look at them. You had what would be called the dry goods area, for known as canned goods and stuff like that. We took that off, dropped that table, and put that guy right there. As you can see, it has boxes in it that carries all of our dry goods. We then took these two baskets off because these seasonings are now in that box. That box goes down here, the seasoning. It will be the stove and then the seasoning on top of it, and that'll get it out of the way. So we're going to take this guy and put him right here. On the back window where the bedroom is, you will have a set of holes here that you hang one basket here and one basket on the other side. So you won't have to worry about it. We will go back to the group, and the next thing you know, you'll have these guys, the spatula and stuff like that. Well, because this thing's closed, you can't very well use that. So what we're going to do is take those off, and we're going to put them in these baskets. This basket holds the spatula and stuff, and it holds other things. And yes, it looks tilted in here only because this is a quickie of overview of everything. What typically happens is that this guy will in fact be standing straight up and down. You go back to it and you end up having your camp kitchen stove. Now, because of the way the kitchen goes in there, this area will end up going away because this area is where the bathroom will be. No, it won't stink up anything. We've got a setup that works really well. But you take this kitchen stove off and you fold this whole thing up. Well, actually, this disconnects over here on these pins, and this whole thing goes in another bag. If we ever go to the lake itself, then we can take this whole thing out, set it by the lake. Once you make that thing go away, the next thing to make go away is, of course, the coffee pot. Well, that coffee pot just happens to be right down here, laying inside this cabinet with a few other things that we need. That is where those guys go. Once you get rid of the coffee pot, the framing over here, and all this over here, what you're left with is this right here with our kitchen stove and seasoning sitting right here. And this is a 1 gallon jug of water. What we did was we bought a USB pump that sits up on top. Yes, it does charge up, and it has a hose that goes into this bottle. The thing about this USB pump, you can either push this button on top and have it run water into the sink for a split second for the time you push it, or you can push it and hold it, push it down, and it'll click into place. When it does, it'll run for about a minute. It will not empty that gallon jug unless you want it to. But it will keep water flowing, so you don't have to keep pushing on it just to get water to come out. You can get one of these at Amazon. This right here, we'll get back to the tour to finish it out. Again, this is the kitchen stove. This is the frame. This is where the sink goes. This is the area where we can set up and cut up meat and stuff like that. It goes down, and then you come over here to the side, and here we have a bag that is actually a tent for what we would call our poop tent. Further known is, in general, we would take it outside right by the front door. You can take the thing, throw it on the ground, it'll pop itself up into a full-blown tent. Right beside it is the poop bucket. Now the thing about this poop bucket is we do have the seat that goes on it. We do have the cover that goes over it. Inside of it is a box of kitty litter with a scoop that we can, when you're finished doing whatever you got to do, you can take that kitty litter, sprinkle it over it, and it'll cancel the odors just like kitty litter in a house. Then you take your lid and you put it back over the top of it. This area that's behind it here used to be an air conditioner that we found out that we can't use just due to the fact that it's too small for what we're trying to do there. So that is now used as an area for storage of blankets and towels and stuff like that. Finish out this tour. Now you can see that area there a little better. You can see the disc of the talent. There's the seasoning. Over here will be the gallon bucket. And that in itself will end the tour of the kitchen. As I said, this kitchen will never change. Whether we're using it for camping or whether we're using it for, per se, the back porch, which is another video, or it doesn't matter. This part never changes. And the beauty about this part is everything you see here goes inside this thing when it collapses, and it takes about 5 minutes to put the whole thing up. In most cases, you can't even put up a tent that fast. So, there's that. It's almost all set up and ready to go, and I hope you take a look at the next video that has to do with the extensions from here going backward. I will talk to you on those. Talk to you soon.